Good morning, everyone, and welcome back, everyone, to 2023, and Happy New Year to everyone. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx Webinar, an online digital platform, and streamed on the City of Toronto YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx Webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting via their computer tablet, smartphone, or telephone, and have the option of participating via video and audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by city staff, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Please use only one device at a time, as use of additional devices can cause static noise which may interfere with the audio of this hearing, and it will slow us down. To ensure further audio clarity, we suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function on your telephones. Those participating by video conference will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled and you will be able to be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use the share screen option on any panelist controls during a video appearance. City staff will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you have called in with the phone number that you were originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on the items. At this time, we wish to make an important land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is now called to order. My name is Nadini Sankar Peralta, and I will be the chairing this meeting today, having been appointed for the rest of the term by, as our beloved former chair, Alan Smithies, has retired. So please bear with me as I attempt to fill some pretty big shoes. And joining us today on this panel, we have members Nazila Atarodi West, member Paul Kidd, member Giuseppe Bartolo, and member Natasha Manning. City staff are also present, our Deputy Secretary Treasurer Simon Lam, and planning staff Alex Chu, Sam Mozayani, Daphne Davis, and Irving Bridgeraj. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permissions to extend and alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Receiving a copy of the committee decision. Anyone at today's hearing who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal body, the TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the Committee of Adjustments decision, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto local appeal body, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. As of November 28, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedures are as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair if they still wish to speak to the item. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will ask you to summarize your remarks when you are reaching the 5-minute mark without exception. When addressing the committee, please state your name and your address clearly. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application only. If the applicant or agent proceeds first, and they will proceed first and make their presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee will not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Individuals either in support or opposition of the application will be invited to speak. If more than one individual wishes to speak to the application, we ask that you try not to repeat the points already made by others. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers within a 5-minute time frame. This will mark the end of the discussion on the item. The application will then be taken into committee for decision. So at today's hearing, I know that there's 3 minutes that we would like to approve. And let's begin with minutes of September 2nd, 2021. I note that myself and member Paul Kidd were part of these minutes. So if I can have a motion to approve the minutes. Motion by member Kidd, and I will second that. All in favor? And opposed? No one? Then these minutes pass. Adopted. They're adopted. Okay, the second set of minutes is of January 19th, and that is myself and Mr. Bartolo. You were there for this January 19th, 2022. So can I get a motion to approve these minutes? A motion received from member Bartolo. I'll second that. All in favor? Opposed? These minutes have been adopted January 19th, 2022. And finally, January 20th, 2022, it was myself and member Paul Kidd as well. Can I get a motion for January 20th, 2022? Motion by member Kidd. I'll second that. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, these minutes have been adopted for January 20th, 2022. I will ask the Deputy Secretary Treasurer if there's anyone who has any items to close. Nothing noted. Any deferral requests for this morning's session? Oh, I can do that beforehand. So members, I would like to ask if there is any member here experiencing a conflict of interest for this morning's session. Any declarations of conflict of interest? I see members nodding their heads no, so I note that there are no conflicts of interest for this morning's session, myself included. So let's move on to the deferral requests.
Madam Chair, item 10,
Item 10.
162 Church is requesting a deferral.
Okay. Let me pull that up. So item 10, 162 Hirsch, we have is Nasife Zanjiabadi on the line?
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Can you state your name and
morning, Madam
address
Chair.
for the record, please?
My name is Nafisa Zangiabadi, address 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill.
Okay, thank you. Can you provide a brief explanation for your deferral request to the members, please?
Yes, planning staff had some concern about the main wall height and the roof design. So we needed more time to revise the roof design and to come to a conclusion with them. So that's why we're requesting a deferral.
Okay. Members, do you have any questions of the applicant here today? They don't seem to be anyone wishing to speak to this application. Okay, no questions being asked, so therefore, can I get a motion from members to defer this application? Okay, Member Atarodi.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to defer this application so that the applicant have enough time to address the city staff concerns. Sine die.
Okay, motion from Member Atarodi to defer, sine die. Can I get someone to second this motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, all in favor. Ms. Zanjiabadi, your application has been deferred. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, Deputy Secretary Treasurer, is there another application?
There is, but I believe it's in the PM session.
In the PM. Okay, not a problem. Members note that item number 2 will be held to the end of this hearing. So with that, let's move on to item number 1. And item number 1 is number 68 Lynnhaven Road. And I have a Franco Romano on the line. Mr. Romano, are you there?
Madam Chair, Franco Romano here for the owner, 95 Autumn Breeze, Port Credit.
Okay, thank you for your name and address. And I understand that you are the only speaker here today. There are engineering and construction services reports, although there's no objections. I also see that Heritage Planning Services had a report. There is no objections there as well. I also see that forestry conditions apply. And I think in this regard, this is to obtain consent to sever the property into 2 residential lots. I think members may appreciate a brief presentation in order to take this into committee for decision-making.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. If staff have my supporting materials, I'd like to just briefly walk through this. This is an application that involves one of the larger lots in the neighborhood. It's an existing lot frontage of approximately 23.6 meters. And the proposal is to sever the lot into 2. And the 2 lots are a little different in size. And the reason why they're different in size is because on the north side, part one, the existing house is being retained. And that existing house would be on a lot that is fully zoning bylaw compliant in terms of lot frontage and lot area. On part two, the southerly lot, we'll see that the proposal is to construct a new two-story attached dwelling. And we'll see that is a bit of a pie-shaped lot. So the street lot line is about 11.7 meters, but the lot frontage at the front yard setback is 10.97 meters. So that triggers a lot frontage variance. The lot area is zoning bylaw compliant. We'll see in the elevations that the existing dwelling is about 9 meters in height, and the proposed dwelling is just a little above that. It's zoning bylaw compliant as well. Wall heights are similar. And in terms of what's occurring within the neighborhood and on the street, we see on the next graphic, on the next slide, that the proposal would fit in with the existing lot fabric, which is consistent with what the planning staff have found. We'll see that to the west, there is a Lawrence Heights revitalization project that's underway, and there will be townhouses up to 4 stories in height abutting the subject site to the west. And on Lynnhaven, Brookview, and other streets within the neighborhood, we have lots that are smaller than the 12 meters that the zoning requires, and also comparable to what is being proposed at 10.9 meters. We have lot frontages of 10.6 and 10.5 meters on Lynnhaven, as well as the surrounding streets and other larger lots, similar in size to what the existing site is today, has been severed to create lots that are comparable to what is being proposed. So the proposal, in my opinion, fits within the existing lot fabric appropriately and has no unacceptable adverse impact. And I would commend to the panel that the planning staff recommendations of approval are satisfactory to my client, so are urban forestry and engineering conditions, and planning staff's conclusions that the proposal is consistent with the neighborhood lot fabric and the dwellings is supported by my client as well. So subject to any questions, Madam Chair, the only item I would point out is that on part one, the notice says that it's a new dwelling, but it's clear that it is to maintain the existing dwelling. And I had communicated that to staff. Subject to any questions, I submit that the applications represent good planning and should be authorized. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Romano. I would ask planning staff if you can put up the late staff report that Mr. Romano was referring to, so that if in case members did not receive or see that, they're able to see that this is a January 13th report with specific recommendations that the agent has agreed to.
That's right, Madam Chair. There are standard consent conditions. If we scroll down to the very bottom near the signature, you'll see the conclusion of planning staff. They have no objection to the application.
Thank you for that.
Subject to the standard consent conditions.
Okay, so it will be subject to standard consent conditions. I ask now members, do you have any questions of Mr. Romano?
Madam Chair,
Yes, please, go ahead.
I just recognize the name of the owner. I want to recuse myself from this application.
Okay, sir.
I have a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Attarodi has a conflict of interest as she's aware of the owner of this application, and so she's reclusing herself. So it leaves us still quorum with 3 members who can vote. Are there any questions, members, for Mr. Romano? There being none at this time, can we entertain a motion from the panel? Member Bartolo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. I think in reviewing the application and looking at this larger size lot within the neighborhood and the conclusions of the staff report, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application, subject to the recommendations in the January 13th staff report and subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo attached to the application.
Would you also apply engineering recommendations as well?
There's no requirements within the engineering package. I think they're just, we can pause for 1 second and go back to those.
We could bring them up on the screen if that would be helpful.
I have them in front of me. I have no issue with an amendment to that to add the recommendations of the engineering construction services report.
Okay, seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Mr. Romano, your application has been approved with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Hope you have a good day.
Okay, you too. Moving on, members, we will be putting item number 2 towards the end of this hearing. And so let's move on to item number 3, which is 106 106 YORKMINSTER Road. So, and on here we've got Babak Gassemi. Mr. Gassemi, are you there?
Madam Chair, Babak is not on the call. However, there is a document on file which contains his request to withdraw his application.
Okay, so I was going to ask about that because I saw that withdrawal request. I will look to the Deputy Secretary Treasurer to let us know if this, we put this to the end, or do we make a motion? Do we withdraw? Okay, so we'll move this to the end just for staff to review that one more time. And let's move on to item number 4. And item number 4 is 69 Bowen Court. 69 Bowen Court, and we've got a Domenico Conforti as the agent or applicant. Mr. Conforti, are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning, and good morning to the committee members.
If you can state
my name
your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah. My name is Domenico Conforti, 70 Gibson Drive, Unit 13, Markham, Ontario, and I represent the owner of the property at 69 Bowen Court.
Okay.
The application, sorry.
Okay,
the
thank you.
application.
If I can just interject for one moment and let members know that TRCA, Toronto Region Conservation Authority, has no objections. This is a proposal to renovate an existing dwelling and maintain existing foundation wall, revise the cladding, add a second floor height, etc. There was a previous application on September 22nd, 2022, so members are aware of that. Ravine Natural Forestry Protection, Natural Features Protection, has the same concerns as urban forestry. So there is conditions that are applicable for urban forestry, and they're requesting a deferral. And there is a staff report of January 12th. There are only comments, but no opposition has been noted to this application. So with that, perhaps if you can give a brief presentation, Mr. Conforti, for members to understand this application better.
Yes, Madam Chair. The application before you was heard previously on September 22nd. And at that time, the committee had approved all items for the exception of item 8, which planning staff had some concerns with respect to the reverse driveway. Unfortunately, the staff report that was presented to us was only a few days prior to the hearing date, so we had insufficient time to address staff's concerns. Since then, that meeting, we had meetings with staff, and as far as our understanding, that staff's concerns have been addressed. We had the original consulting engineer that designed this development write a letter to staff that looked at the issue with respect to the reverse driveway and the negative impact that may be associated with flooding. The engineering staff's report clearly concluded that there is no issues with respect to flooding, and that is why staff has now indicated that they have no concerns with the reverse fall driveway. The reverse fall driveway, it follows the existing grade of the lot. The driveway runs parallel to the future proposed entrance of the garage door. There is an existing catch basin that was designed for this development at the rear side corner of the lot, which will pick up any runoff from the driveway and from the lot itself. As indicated, these lands adjoin TRCA property, and TRCA has no objection to the grading proposed, and we've provided them many reports to satisfy them. With respect to item 8, the reason why we had to bring this back is because item 8 is an integral part of this design, in that it allows us to eliminate garages facing the street, thus providing a more aesthetically pleasing streetscape. Furthermore, it coincides with the modern design that's being proposed. Is our opinion that the variances that have been requested and have been approved substantially in the past by the committee meet the 4 tests, and therefore we respectfully request the committee to grant approval to the variances requested in our application. Should you have any concerns or questions, I'd be pleased to address them.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Conforti. Members, do we have any questions before we move on to, there is one other speaker listed here, and I see a question from...
Madam Chair, the other speaker is the owner.
Oh, okay, so Eugenia Morrow is the owner? Okay, thank you. So no other speakers to this, but I do see a question from Member Kidd. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question with regard to the wording on variance number 5. It says the maximum building length for maximum allowable building length for a detached house is 17 meters, and the proposed front yard setback is 20 meters. I assume that's it should read that the proposed building length is 20.1 meters. Is that correct?
Hold on, sorry. Give us a chance to take a look at it. Thank you.
While staff is looking at this, members, I wanted to let you know that there are 5 signatures for a petition of support for this application. And just to let you know, TRCA and Ravine and Natural Features, no objections except for forestry, that there are conditions for which they had requested a deferral. The staff report has only comments to the application, but not opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff have confirmed that that variance is worded incorrectly, and we can fix that. That variance is indeed in relation to the building length. Thank you, Member Kidd, for pointing that out.
Thank you. I have one other question, if I can. I noticed in the staff report that there's an attachment number 1, which is side elevation drawings for this project. But there's in the staff report, there's no mention made of the attachment number 1. I wonder if the intention was to have us tie any decision to the to the side elevation plans, just because of the changes that are being made along the sides of the building. I guess I'm asking the agent whether he had any discussion with planning staff with regard to tying the decision to the side elevation drawings, attachment number 1.
We had an integral discussion with staff is the driveway that was proposed to allow for the entrance into the lower level of the house, which is the garage. And therefore, there was discussion to that effect. And staff has looked at it and provided their concurrence and with the approval. And that is why we submitted the side yard, the elevations presented to staff. So they're very clear on what we were doing with respect to the driveway and this integral design aspect of allowing for parking at the lower level.
Thank you.
Ms. Member Kidd, does that answer all of your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. And any other questions from the panel? There being none, and given sort of the update that planning will work on that, that length variance, right? They will be looking into that. Can I get a motion from the members? Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to put forward a motion that amended variance number 5 to read the building length rather than the front yard setback. Can you just tell me if that makes sense?
I'll ask the Deputy Secretary Treasurer to step in.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, you don't have to make it a motion. We will fix it from our end.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank you.
fixed, yeah.
I'd like to, okay, great. In that case, I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to forestry condition, and I'm going to make it subject to the project being developed substantially in accordance with the attachment number 1, the side elevation drawings contained in the planning staff report.
Okay, motion on the floor from Member Kidd to approve this application with those specific conditions, seconded by Member Attarodi. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. So, Mr. Conforti, your application has been unanimously approved with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Let's move on to item number 5, which is 66 Horsham Avenue. And this is a proposal to construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling with an integral garage and finished basement. Members, there are 6 variances, and we also have urban forestry recommendations from the Tree Protection and Plan Review Committee. So with that, let's move on to Ida Evangelista. Are you there? Miss Evangelista?
Ida, you
Hi, Madam Chair.
Hello.
Hi, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good morning and Happy New Year to all. I am here on behalf of the owners of 66 Horsham. Would you like to go to questions? I can do a brief presentation going through the variances.
First off, just for the record, if you can just give your name and address just so that it's captured for...
Yes.
Yes.
It's Ida Evangelista, 53 Bentworth Avenue, Toronto, M6A, 1 Peter 5.
Okay, and without going into, any presentations at this time, I do want to say that there is a Michael Zhang, I believe, who is listed as a speaker, and I'll ask the staff to let me know.
Madam Chair, I've been advised that Ida will be speaking on behalf of Michael Zhang.
Okay, that's perfect. So there is no one else to
Yes.
speak to this application. So I turn to members and I ask if you still require a presentation for this item. If no presentations required, yes?
I appreciate a presentation.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Evangelista, if you can give a brief presentation for the members to go into decision-making afterwards. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. We do have, we have 4 variances, 2 of which were under the old bylaw. We are asking for a lot coverage of 31.96, and in this particular area, what is characteristic to this neighborhood is 32%, and we are below the 32%. We are asking for side yard setbacks of 1.22 meters, which still allows for light, air, maintenance, and safety. Variance number 3, we do have a side wall main, a side exterior main wall variance. And as you see, staff have made it as a condition to tie the side east and west side elevations to the drawings. And that is because we do have windows that actually go into penetrate the gable of the roof. And that's why we have that variance of 8.54. However, if we refer to the front elevation and to majority of most of the east elevation and very good portion of the west elevation, you'll see that the eaves, the main wall height is 7.50. And with what you have in front of you, Madam Chair, members, I propose that this is very characteristic to the neighborhood and meets the ZBL and OP standards. And if you have any questions, I am available to answer. And as I mentioned previously, we are in acceptance of staff's condition to tie the side elevations to the decision.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Evangelista. I turn to members. Do you have any questions at this time? Okay, there being no questions noted, can I get a motion on this application? Member Attarodi.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with one staff recommendation and condition that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the east and west elevation drawings submitted to Committee of Adjustment, attachment 1 and 2 to the report, and also subjected to urban forestry.
Okay, motion from Member Attarodi to approve this application subject to those conditions as described. Can I get a seconder for this motion? Member Kidd has seconded the motion. All in favor? Unanimously approved with those conditions. Ms. Evangelista, your application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, have a great day.
You too. Okay, members, let's move on to item number 6, which is 406 Briar Hill Avenue. This is an application to extend an improved enclosed porch for accessibility reasons and removal of a second floor rear side balcony to expand a bedroom size. There are 2 variances noted, and there are 3 letters of support, including the neighbors on either side of the property. That being said, I do note that there is a Naomi Strumpf.
Because you cannot enter the library without them scanning the T card.
Okay, so is that the applicant, Mr. Chu?
Yes, I believe it appears she's on another call.
There's a Dan Strumpf as well, is that?
I will attempt to unmute Dan.
Okay. Mr. Dan Strumpf, are you there?
Sorry for that. Naomi is just on a business call and hopefully can join us.
Yes, not a problem. So are you together?
Yes, we are together. We are the owners of 406 Briar Hill, and we were looking to present together. If she joins us in time, she can be on the presentation. Otherwise, I'll go ahead when you're ready.
Yes, if you can, for the sake of time, state your name and address for the panel members and for the record, and let's move into presentation.
Sure. My name is Dan Strumpf. I live on 406 Briar Hill Avenue in Toronto.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, given that there are no other speakers to this application, I'm just wondering if you require a presentation at this time? No presentation seems to be required at this time. However, Mr. Strumpf, I would like to ask if there's anything that you would like to say to committee members before they go into decision-making.
Yes, I would just want to briefly mention the reasoning for these. I refer to them as amendments, Madam Chair, because as you mentioned, this committee has a year ago approved minor variances related to this renovation that we're going through. And as a quick opening remark, I'd like to mention that we've chosen to renovate our current home because we love our neighborhood. We have a great community here, and we wish to keep living here and retire here, and thus would like to design it to suit our short and long-term needs. So with regards to the change in the request for the front setback for the enclosed porch, so I would like to mention that if you look at the first 2 pages of the file in the application package, 46 Briar Hill metric, and the first photo on our owner's view document, if you just look at the area of the front porch. So the comment I'd like to make here that the approved, previously approved enclosed space is the current porch size. And we've learned that this space, in fact, is not suitable for a person in a wheelchair or using a walker and their caregiver to enter once it's enclosed and to close the door behind them and then move into the next door. So this request is put forward because unfortunately due to my medical condition, I suffer from heart disease, and a couple of months after your approval of our application, my health deteriorated, and I recently underwent an open heart surgery, and I required a walker to need to move around and for a caregiver to be with me. Unfortunately, I also suffer from other chronic conditions, and I'm told that this could require future medical interventions and limit my mobility. So in our design, we're looking to have a space where it would be accessible in the sense that I, if needed, could have a caregiver with me, and we can be protected from the elements given the weather during different times of years. And I just want to mention that our neighbors at 408 Briar Hill, they have a vestibule with a front yard setback that you can see in the survey to our application, which is 7 meters and 7 centimeters. A front yard setback compared to the one we are requesting, which is 7 meters and 32 centimeters. Our change is about 2.5 feet more than what you approved last year, and still shorter by about a foot compared to our neighbors. Thank you for projecting this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
And with regards, just to sorry, and are there any questions? I just want to comment about the balcony at the back.
Sure, if you can finish up your final comment.
Yeah, I'll finish up. Thank you, Madam Chair. So with regards to the back balcony that we're requesting to remove and expand the nearby bedroom, this is because during the process of the building permit, it was brought to our attention that the fire code, and we had a design of a west wall next to the balcony from the bedroom that is next at the northwest corner of the design, which was a wall of windows basically. And it was brought to our attention, and it was something that was missed by our architect, that this would need to be fire rated windows should we wish to have that type of window there. And we have looked into that, and we were sticker shocked by the cost of such a design. And therefore, given that we're still tucked in compared to our neighbors, we'd like to cancel this balcony, expand. It's only approximately
Okay.
40 square feet,
Mr. Strump,
and move forward.
thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you.
You are out of time, but I do want to say I acknowledge the severe medical concerns you have, and our hearts go out to you, and so we understand the basis for this application. With that, I'll turn it over to members to ask if there's any questions you may have at this time. There being none, let's take it into committee for decision-making. Can I get a motion from members? Okay, motion from Mr. Bartolo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is a relatively straightforward application. Given the neighbor support, minor nature of it, I don't see any adverse impacts on the neighborhood. I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application.
Motion for Member Bartolo to approve. Can I get someone to second that? Seconded by Member
I'll second.
Tarodi. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Mr. Stromp, your application has been approved. Take care, and please get well soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for support.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. So members, let's move on to item number 7. And this is 34 Andale Drive. I do note this is a proposal to construct a new dwelling. There's 5 variances, and there's urban forestry recommendations. I did see that there was something noted around revised plans, and we'll get to asking the applicant or agent, who's listed as Ali Yi. Ali Yi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, if you can state
Yeah,
your
can you
name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, this my name is Ali Yi. Address is my address at 245 Finch Avenue West, Toronto, Ontario. M2R 1M8.
Okay, so you're the owner of the house?
No, I'm an agent of
You're
house.
the agent. Okay, and so I just wanted to let you know there's another speaker noted on here, Justin Bayek, I believe.
Oh yeah, I can turn on, so you can hear me.
Yes, sorry. Do you know who Justin Bayek is?
Madam,
Well, I say I just registered for the phone function too, so I turn off.
Sorry, Mr. Chu.
Madam Chair, I do not see Justin on the call.
Okay, so he's not on the call. It was a late addition, but he's no longer on the call. So I'll turn to members first. Members, this is 5 variances to construct a new dwelling. Urban forestry applies. Do you need a presentation on this application?
Yeah, give me a few minutes. I think
Sorry, madam, I'm talking to the committee at this time. Just one moment, please. Committee members, Ms. Atarodi, do you need a presentation?
Madam Chair, staff suggested 2 modifications to variance number 1 and 3 and a condition. So just want to know if the applicants want to address those.
Thank you. So, Ms. Madam Yee, there is also a membership as well. There's a late planning report that came in as well. So we'll take a look at that after. But first, let me ask Ms. Yee what are the changes that she's making to the application?
Oh, I changed the item 2, item 1, the coverage.
Item number 1.
Item number 1, we changed the coverage from 33.11, change it to 32%.
So item number 1 changes to 32%. So we're making it better to 32%. And then what are the
final
other
number
changes?
is 32. And item number 2, because it's too small, we delete. And then item 33, for the back height, we change it from 2.4 meter to change 1.5 meter. And projection.
So item number
projection.
3, you're saying it's being changed to 1.5 meters?
Yes, another projection, 3.69, change it to 3.6 meter.
3.6 meters. So it shall now read that the platform projects 3.6 meters from the rear main wall height and is 1.5 meters above the ground below.
Yeah.
Okay.
And item number 4.
Yes.
For the set wall, we change it to 7.71 meter.
Okay, and item number 4 is moved from 8.86 meters to 7.1 meters.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. This is a little bit confusing. The window part, we still keep 8.86, and the side wall we change it to 7.71 meter.
Sorry, can you read?
Everything's
Can you read what it's now going to say? It's saying right now, item number 4, that the proposed height of the side exterior main walls facing a side lot line is 8.86 meters. What is it going to say now?
Okay, that is the facing side lot line is required. The by law required is 7.5 meter. They change it to 7.7 meter. But the proposed in the window side is still kept in 8.86 meter.
Okay, I'm very confused.
Exactly same as the staff report attached the drawing.
Can someone pull up the staff report, please, for members to see?
You can change the attach the drawing in the back side. Yeah, it's in the set wall. The side wall in the broad side. And another side. The side wall. Okay, this is broad line. Yeah, this line. The side wall by law requires 7.5, we change it 7.7 meter. But the height, because only in the window part, the 8.86 is still keep the same.
Madam Chair, through you, if the agent can kindly just say which variance she wants to modify first. I think she's talking about variance 4.
She's already gone through variance 1 and 3, so it's number 4 that we're being very confused about what she's trying to.
Okay, so through you, Madam Chair, if the agent can repeat the change to variance 4, please. I have 7.7,
Okay.
but I may have misheard that.
Okay, let me repeat from item number 4. Number 4 about side wall. The side wall before, where side wall is 7.9 something, and the window side is 8.86. After talk to the city planner, so we agree and to change the total side wall. By requires 7.5, we change it to 7.71, because the higher part only in the window side. So the final
I think
agree.
all members need to know is what is it changing from to? Please tell us what is it changing from and what is it changing to? And let's be very clear and specific about that.
Not only number 4 not clear, is it?
Number 4 says the
Number
proposed
4.
height of the side main wall facing a side lot line is 8.86 meters. You are changing 8.86 meters to what?
Oh, actually, that is a 7.76 only in a window side. So later on, we talk to the city planner, which is we agree to change the total side wall to 7.7 meter, and the keep on the window side is the same, exactly same as the staff report, the drawing attached. You can see in the drawing attached, before we are second ground floor, we are 11 feet, but now we decrease the ground floor to
Okay, please, if you can just hold on 1 second, unless members understand what she's saying, because I'm having a hard time capturing this, you can please step in as well. But I am hearing that she's changing number 4 from 8.86 meters to 7.71 meters. That is what I
not this line.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please
just
go
in
ahead.
reading, if I can just
You can
interject
read
here. In reading the staff report, if we refer to the 3rd page, the 2nd paragraph about halfway through, right? The height of 8.86 meters only applies to a portion of the wall heights on both walls, which have been designed to accommodate the windows. So they're saying above the windows, it's 8.86 meters, but at the height of the windows, it's 7.7 meters to the established grade. So as long as this project is built substantially in accordance with those elevations, they don't have an issue with those heights. And I think that's where the 8.86 and the 7.7 is coming into play here.
Okay, so Mr. Bartolo, is your interpretation that anything is actually changing here in terms of the variance as it's recorded?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
The drawings attached to the staff report the dimensions are too blurry, to be honest. I can't read them, but I don't believe there's any. But in the text, it appears to be permissible so long as variance number 1 and variance number 3 are modified as per the comments.
Okay, that's acceptable, and thanks for clarifying that. And I presume we'll be attaching it to the revised drawings that were submitted to committee.
Would imagine so. I just want to clarify one thing, and I
Yes.
don't want to belabor this. I thought I heard that variance number 2 was being eliminated. It's only 4 centimeters, so I thought it was being. That's what I heard, but I just want to confirm.
I had noted that it was being reduced to 1.5 meters.
Variance number, Madam Chair, I think, Member Bartolo, you said variance 2.
Sorry, variance number 2.
Variance number 2.
Okay. I did not hear that. But
I
that's
didn't hear that either, but we can confirm that with the agent.
Okay, Ms. Yee,
Okay.
we have you back on the line. There's some clarification that Member Bartolo provided. And so just for the record, we have noted Variance number 1 has been reduced to 32%, and variance number 3 has been reduced to 1.5 meters. Member Bartolo had thought he heard you say variance number 2 will be eliminated. Yes or no? Is that
yes,
true?
it's because they're very, very small.
So it remains the same. 4.65
Yeah, you can
meters.
remain.
Okay, so that remains the same, and as well, variance number 4 and 5 remain the same. Members, at this time, do you feel that you require a presentation still from Ms. Yee? I see members shaking their head no. So that being said, let me just go through this one more time. We've got a revised application, and likely this will have to be tied to the revised drawings that were provided to committee and submitted to committee. There is urban forestry that applies, as well as variance number 1 has been reduced to 32%, variance number 3 is 1.5 meters, and those are the revisions that have been made. Members, can I have a motion, please? Motion from Member Bartolo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. I think in going through this application, understanding it is relatively minor in nature. Therefore, I'm in agreement with the staff report, and I will put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the recommendations noted in the January 12th staff report, and that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the revised east and west elevations attached to the January 12th report.
Okay.
And subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo attached as well.
Thank you so much, Member Bartolo. Can I have someone to second that motion of approval with conditions? Second.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes. Did Mr. Bartolo also mention variance number 1 and 3, the modification?
Yes, I mentioned them as to adopt the recommendations which modify those two variances. So to clarify, variance number 1 will be reduced to 32%. Variance number 3 will be reduced to a height of 1.5 meters.
Okay, then I'll second this motion.
All those in favor? Okay. This application has been unanimously approved, subject to those revisions made by the applicant here today, as well as urban forestry and tying it to the site plan as was suggested by Member Bartolo today. Thank you so much, Ms. Yee. And let's move on to item number 8, which is 10 Ingleside Drive. Members, 10 Ingleside Drive is to add a second story to the existing one-story dwelling. There is one variance noted, as well as urban forestry applies. Members, we also have two persons registered here to speak. The first one is a Dylan Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez, are you there?
Hi, yes, my name is Dylan Rodriguez.
Okay, and if you can state your address, please.
Sure, it's 10 Ingleside Drive, Toronto, Ontario. Postal code Mary 3K 1V1.
I note that you are the owner of this application.
Yes, myself and Kimberly Macias. She's here next to me.
Okay, and she is noted as a second speaker. So there's no one else that is noted, as speaking against this application. Members, do you need a presentation on this application? Okay, no presentation necessary. Mr. Rodriguez, as well as Kimberly Rodriguez, is there anything that you'd like to say before members take this into committee for decision making?
No, not really. It's a pretty simple variance, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you. Members, that being said, do you have any questions of Mr. Rodriguez? Okay, no questions. Then can I entertain a motion from committee members? Okay, motion from Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, looking at the application, I feel it's a minor nature and put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Okay, motion from Member Kidd to accept this application without condition. Can I have someone to second this motion, please? Seconded by Member Atarodi. Thank you. And all those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Members will move on to item number 9, which is 15 Montresor Drive. 15 Montresor Drive is to construct a new dwelling. And please note that there has been a previous application that was approved on September 22nd last year. But now the plans have been revised. There are 4 variances that are noted. And there is also a staff report of January 12th saying that if you choose to approve this application, it's subject to specific conditions. And TRCA has no concerns. However, there are some recommendations from Urban Forestry that apply. On this application, we've got a number of a couple of speakers that are noted. The first one is the applicant, Alireza Saeed. Are you there?
Hi, this is Alireza Saeed. I'm the agent of owner for 15 Montresor Drive.
Okay, and can you state your address for the record, please?
Yeah, my address is the company ADA Engineering Solutions, 6021 Young Street, Suite 1007.
Okay, thank you so much. I note that there is another speaker on file.
That's the owner, I believe.
Ehsan
Ehsan
Gomi?
Gomi.
Yeah, okay, so
yeah, that's the owner. Yeah.
Members, there are no other speakers on this application. Do you require a presentation at this time? If no presentation is required, Mr. Saeed, is there anything that you would like to tell members before they take this into committee for decision making?
Not exactly, because we provide and change the drawing based off the staff report, and we make a decision to change the whole plan, and we come with the new plan to satisfy the planning staff.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Saeed before going into committee? No questions being noted. Give members a moment. Please, someone to make a motion on this application. Member Bartolo, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Given that some of the variances relating to this application have to do with the location of the lot as it relates to the curvature of the street, and that the staff are in support of this application, I will put forward a motion to approve this application, subject to the front yard setback being developed in accordance with the site plan drawings attached in the report, and subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo attached.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Member Bartolo, approving with conditions as a motion. Can I get someone to second that motion, please? Member Kidd seconds that motion. All those in favor? So unanimously approved with those conditions. Mr. Saeed, your application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Okay, members, we're going to move on for a little bit longer. Unless you need a break, please feel free to step in and let me know. We are moving on to item number 11, which is 36 Glenorchy Road. This is a proposal to construct a new dwelling. Please note, members, that there's 9 variances, and there is a transportation report where there's no objections. However, there are conditions attached. TRCA has a January 9th report. There's no objections, however, there are standard conditions, and urban forestry applies to this application. There's quite a number of speakers listed here. We do have the owner or applicant or agent, which is Georgina Myers. Georgina Myers, are you there?
Madam Chair, I do not see the agent nor the owner on the call currently.
Richard Wengel, usually he's noted as the agent.
Oh, I do see Richard, sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Wengel usually is an agent in the Committee of Adjustment, so let's unmute him. Mr. Richard Wengel, are you there?
Yes, speaking, Madam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're the one representing this application?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's perfect. So, Mr. Wengel, if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, it's Richard Wengel, 102 Avenue Road, Toronto, M5R 2H3.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Wengel, there are a number of speakers, and I'll just turn to staff to see if anyone else has logged in. There's about 4 different speakers that are to be noted on this file. Okay, so the first 2 are not, they're owners, but there are 2 others, Helen Gorofsky and Alan Connors. Okay, and they're logged in. Okay, so with that, Mr. Wengel, if you can provide the committee and members with a presentation of your application within a 5-minute time frame. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. If I could just ask for our presentation material to be And Madam Chair, we were unaware that there were any people speaking to this, as we have always, as our custom in our office, we submit letters to all the neighbors. Usually 6 to 8 letters are distributed, and we have not had any response from anyone, nor was there anything on the city website noting any concern. So we were a little unaware of this, but I'm happy to address concerns. So this is a proposal for a new 2-story house. It should be noted on the site plan, this house actually had a fire by the previous owner, was then put up for sale. We've looked at reusing the house, but looking with builders, the cost is actually the same to rebuild it. So what we've asked to do is rebuild this on the same footprint as existing. And you'll see in green outline is the existing home, and in black is the new home. So essentially we're maintaining the same side yard setbacks as is existing. We're just building the house to the rear 1 foot pass and a little bit forward to the front yard setback. There's a slight variance on the right side, which is the north side, because there's an angle to the street where we have a little bit of a variance there. I will ask you to look at the blue lines are just elements from the TRCA. We've dealt with them. They have no problem reusing the existing pool, reusing part of the porch, and we will have a little minor front yard setback. There is a comment from transportation about the driveway. This driveway has been there for at least 25 years. We just want to reuse it. This house is situated at the end of a dead end. It's the second last house to a dead end. So we feel, again, planning has no issue with this. TRC has no issue with this. And up until just now, we realize that there are some concerns from neighbors. I will ask you just to go to the next page on our presentation. That's just a blow up, but I think to the next page, please. It's a map showing coverage. Our coverage is actually 29.26. Circled in red are other coverages that exist or have been approved by the committee that are higher than ours. But it should be noted that our coverage is actually lower than the existing house because we are reducing some of the footprint in the rear as well. And to the next page. This is just a front elevation of the house proposed. And the next page is the rear of the house. Again, similar to what's there now. The terrace on the left-hand side is replacing the existing terrace that's there. We are just partially covering it on that side. It's actually pulled back from the original terrace. I do feel this is minor in nature. It does meet the 4 tests. Again, we do agree with everything in terms of TRCA planning. just the transportation. Our desire is to maintain the driveways as is, which results in 2 variances that we would like to keep. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee or from the neighbors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wengel. Members, do you have any questions of the applicant before we move on to 2 debutantes? Okay, no questions at this time. Let's move on. I note that Georgina Myers and Agunig Davoyan are the owners from staff members, city planning members. So let's move on to Helen Gorofsky. Is there a Helen Gorofsky on the phone?
Have I unmuted?
Yes, you are. If you could state your name and address
Okay,
for the record, Ms. Gorofsky.
My name is Helen Gorofsky, and I live at 36 Glenorchy.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to state any objections right now, but one thing I would like to alert the committee to is that it's true what Mr. Wengel said. We did get an envelope with all the plans and an explanation of the variances. However, the neighbor who's going to be most affected is the neighbor to the north of us. And I went to speak to them and they are not there. The envelope is still outside on their porch. So they know nothing about this.
Okay. Ms. Gorofsky, do you have any concerns with what you've seen in the package with respect to the variances that you'd like to share with committee members?
No, I have been in contact and June Young, and he's answered all my questions.
Okay. So at this time, there's no further comments or questions that you have?
No.
Okay, thank you so much for your input, Ms. Gorofsky. Then we'll move on to the second speaker noted, and that is Alan Connors. So Alan Connors, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Connors, if you could state your name and address for our record, please.
It's Alan Connors. I'm at 38 Glenorchy Road.
Okay.
My wife gave her address as 36 Glenorchy Road. It's actually, she and I are joint owners of 38 Glenorchy Road.
Oh, so your wife is the previous speaker?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. She's basically said exactly what I'm saying, is that I think that the proposal affects 34 Glenorchy Road more than it does us, but the people at 34 Glenorchy Road apparently have not got any information on that, as they seem to be away right now.
Okay, at this time, we can't really speak to someone who is not there, but if you have any concerns yourself about the application, you have, the time now to express that at this time.
Okay, what will happen if they, the people at 34 come back and they have some objections? What occurs at that point?
At this time, there's nothing that can be done. Once they have followed the rules in terms of its circulation and they have provided the materials that's necessary, we would hope that folks would come forward. So at this time, if they have not received that and there is no comments, they have done it within the timeline that's permitted. There's nothing further that we can do.
Well, we got our notification on January the 9th, and I presume that the people at 34 Glenorchy probably got a similar package on January the 9th.
Okay. Well, why don't we get back to Mr. Wengel and have him, address that and to see if there's any way that in the future he could reach out to the folks opposite or to the north side that you've suggested and, go through this with them, if that may suffice.
Okay.
Okay. So, members, do you have any questions of the speakers, both speakers at this time? I see no questions, so let's take it back to Mr. Wengel, if you would care to comment on what has been raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As always, we do circulate letters and depend on people to read them and answer them. We can't force them to open them. Typically, we send out our notices more than 3 weeks in advance. Now, we did send it a bit earlier, but because of the holidays, our office was shut down between Christmas and January the 5th. And so we didn't want to send out letters to contact us when our staff wouldn't be there. It's just the timing. Again, I do know who these owners are because I actually was their architect to actually develop their property about 3 years ago, and they have since abandoned. They own 4 properties in the area that they were developing for themselves and members of their family, but they put their projects on hold. They do live in Toronto, but again, we haven't heard from them about a year and a half. And again, we weren't sure if they were still the owners, but I was actually designing a house for that property. In terms of how this affects them, it really doesn't, because we're maintaining exactly the same footprint as what's there. The difference is the rear terrace that we are proposing is actually moved further away from them, so it has less impact on them. And the only difference would be the front corner of the garage, which comes forward by about 3 feet more than the original, but the front setback for the main part of the house is actually back. So I don't believe this creates any additional impact. The only difference could have been to recenter the house on the required footprints, but again, that would affect number 38. And we felt because this house pattern has been there for probably over 30 years, it did make sense. And when we did speak with planning and TRC, there are no concerns from them. So I don't feel that this will impact the neighbor to any extent at all. If there's privacy concerns while we're building and maybe a higher fence or something like that, that's something we can address with the owners if they do communicate with us. But we've done everything we can in our power. Again, we have many applications going all the time. This office was actually one of the very first offices 25 years ago that actually started this petitioning of neighbors and creating a consistent package that the committee realized that we do give you each time we present. And I think we've done our utmost best to try to address our neighbors as best as we can.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Wengel. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Wengel? If there are no questions at this time, let's take it into committee for decision making and a motion from Member Manning.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application. I think these variances meet the 4-part test. They're minor. Many of them are due to existing conditions. Yeah, thank you.
And Member Manning, will you be tying it to the
subject? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Member Manning.
Yes, and tying it to the site plans and also subject to the conditions of forestry.
As well as transportation conditions as well, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do I have someone to second this motion from Member Manning to approve, subject to tying it to the site plan as well as urban forestry and transportation conditions? Seconded by Member Attarodi. All those in favor? All those opposed? Member Bartolo dissenting. Thank you so much. Mr. Wengel, your application has been approved with those conditions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Members, let's move on to item number 12, which is 180 Blythwood Road. This is a proposal to add a rooftop to the existing wooden deck. There is a staff report noted on January 12th that recommends this application be refused. Heritage Planning Services did have a report, but there were no concerns noted. And there are indeed 3 letters of objection. We've got a couple of area residents wishing to speak to this application. And so for that reason, can I get a Rock Kim on the line, please? Rock.
My name is Rakim.
Rakim.
Yeah, I sent an email. Yeah.
Okay, and if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Rakim, 386 Young Street.
Okay, and
yeah.
If you can.
I sent an email actually for the deferral request.
Oh, Okay. I'll
Because
just,
I will need to talk to the planner and then,
okay, so you're wishing to defer this application. Can you explain to the members
yes.
why you would like this deferral?
Yeah, I think the deck size is too big. Then I didn't have chance to talk to the planner with the revised drawings. So
Okay. So you wish for a deferral to speak with the planner and rework and revise the application.
yes.
Okay, not a problem. Let me just, first of all, members, do you have any questions of this deferral request? I am going to move it along to one of the area residents who wishes to speak to this application, Mike Zhang. And so is Mr. Zhang there, Mike Zhang?
Um, uh, Madam Chair, I believe Mike Zhang is the owner.
Oh,
His
Owner.
address is listed as 180 Blythwood.
okay, not a problem. So Mike Zhang is the owner, so there's no one else to speak to this application. In that case, members, can I get a motion on this deferral request? Member Manning.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to defer this application to give the applicant time to discuss with planning and possibly make some amendments. Sine die, please.
Okay, thank you. Motion to defer from Member Manning. Can I have someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Bartolo. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Your application your application has been deferred for sine die, Mr. Kim. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
At this time, I'll ask members if we could take a 10-minute break. Is that okay? All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, all of my members back. We're going to get started again. And we're starting this time with item number 13, 19 Parkhurst Boulevard. And before we get started on that one, let me just remind members that this is to construct a new dwelling. There is a planning staff report of January 12th with recommended conditions. There is a transportation services report that requires some supporting materials. Forestry conditions do apply, and on file there are indeed 10 letters of support for this application. It seems that we have a speaker here by the name of Kelly Lamb. Miss Lamb, are you there? Lamb. Oh, Kelly
Yes, I
Lamb.
am, Madam
Sorry.
Chair.
Kelly Lamb, sir, can you just state your name and address for our records, please?
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kelly Lem, the agent for the owners. My address is 201 Wickseed Avenue, Unit 15, M4G0B1.
Okay, and I do note that there's a Charlotte and Sean Spelt and Harris that are on the line,
Madam Chair,
and they are the owners?
I do not see them on the call.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chu. So it's really just the agent, and I'll turn to members just to ask if you require a presentation on this application at this time. I don't see a presentation required at this time. Mr. Lem, are you able to share with the members anything else that you wish before they take this into committee for decision-making?
Yes, I just want to mention that staff did provide a report, and the staff, and basically they recommend that the project be built in accordance to the site plan, and particularly to variance number 2 on the west side. Also, I just want to really reiterate what you mentioned, that there are 10 signed signatures. 2 are of the immediate neighbors as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Lem?
Madam Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, please do.
Sorry to interrupt. Kelly?
Yes.
It's Simon. There's an email here that indicates, are there revised plans?
No, not revised plans. Those were just revised to make clarification for the zoning examiner. So there's no physical changes to the building.
Okay, so the plans and the package plans that were sent out, they're all okay for this minor variance application?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. At this time, I will then turn it over to committee members for decision-making. Can I get a motion, please? Member Kidd with a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel the requested variances are appropriate and minor, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to the planning staff recommendation that the west side yard setback be developed in accordance with the site plan drawing attached to the report, planning staff report dated January the 12th, and subject to forestry condition. And I'm going to make it subject to transportation services approval as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Kidd with a motion to approve this application with conditions. Can I get someone to second? Member Manning has seconded that. All those in favor? Opposed? Member Atarodi dissenting. Mr. Lem, your application has been approved with those conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, members, let's move along to item number 14, which is 75 Baycrest Avenue. This application is a proposal to construct a new dwelling. There are some transportation requirements in terms of documentation that's been noted on the file. Apart from that, that's it. There's no one else to speak to this application. Members, do you require a presentation at this time? Seeing that there are no members requiring a presentation, I'm going to, first of all, I should, actually, wait a minute. Is this,
Madam Chair, do you want to introduce the agent?
wait a minute, I'm going to, but I just realized, did I call out item number 14? Because wasn't this already,
Madam Chair, it's the same agent as the one that got deferred earlier, but it's a different applicant.
oh, it is a different, okay, I just wanted to make sure because I didn't note it, but I had it crossed off here. Okay, so let's bring on Nafisa Zangiabadi again.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Okay,
This
good
is Nafisa
morning.
Zangiabadi.
And just state your name and address again, please.
Nafisa Zangiabadi, 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill.
And this is a completely different application than what you had deferred the last time, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. And as you can see, members do not require a presentation on this application. Is there anything that you'd like to share with members before they take this into decision making?
Yes, we actually want to remove the variances for the secondary suite, variances number 8 and 9.
Okay, so you'd like to make a couple of revisions, did you say, to your application?
Yes.
Okay, so variances number 8 and 9, you said?
8 and 9. Yes, removing the secondary suite variance.
Okay,
So there's going to be only one secondary suite. And I just want to mention that this house is for a family of 6, with one of the kids being severely disabled and bound to a wheelchair. And as you can see, the house has been designed barrier-free, and that's why they needed a little bigger house. Even though we tried to keep everything within the character of the neighborhoods, or the neighbors are okay with the design, supporting this family. And I would like to ask approval of this application from committee.
Okay, thank you for that. So, members, the agent has indicated that they are removing variances 8 or 9 and 9, as well as they are requiring this for mobility issues for one of the family members. So with that in mind, do you have any questions of the agent at this time? And yes, I see Member Attarodi with a question. Go ahead.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I have 2 questions. One of them is regarding variance number 6. The proposed lot coverage is 39.84% versus 30%. And my second question will be regarding variance number 7. The side exterior main wall facing side lot line is 8.85 proposed versus 7.5. That permitted. So I appreciate some explanation for those 2 variants, number 6 and 7.
Sure. For our main wall height, the height has been taken to the top of the gable of the window, whereas the side wall itself along the eaves is 7.92, which is very common in the area. So the reason the number is high is that because it's been taken to the top of the gable on the window on the side. And the coverage, the reason for increasing the coverage, as I said, is they needed a little bigger space to accommodate the barrier-free design. And we tried to keep it within what has been approved in the neighborhood. The staff had no concern about that. Neighbors were okay. So I really appreciate it. We can get that approved to help this family.
Okay, Member Attarodi, does that answer your questions? Do you have any further questions? Okay, any other members with questions for the agent today? Okay, with that then, please note that variances 8 and 9 have been removed. This does have conditions of transport. And with that, can I get a motion from the committee? Okay, motion from Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the application as amended meets the 4 tests for minor variance. I'm going to put forward a motion to accept the application with the deletion of variances number 8 and 9, the requested variances, and subject to transportation services condition, and just because of the requested variance number 4, I'm worried that about the or sorry, not 4, but the one for the side yard, the main walls height on the side yards. I'm going to put in a condition that the project be substantially developed in accordance with the attached elevation drawings as well. Thank you.
Okay, a motion from Member Kidd to approve this application subject to the changes made by the applicant here today, as well as transportation, as well as, making it subject to, in accordance with the elevation drawings, the side elevation drawings. And I'll look to Deputy Secretary Treasurer to see if that's worded correctly.
Through you, Madam Chair. Member Kidd, can we verify that it is indeed the side elevations you'd like the decision substantially tied to?
Yeah. Thank you. That's correct. It's the side elevations that I wanted attached.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Bartolo. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, so opposition from Member Manning and Member Attarodi. That leaves me in a position, and I am going to support this application and the motion of Member Kidd, and this application is indeed approved with those conditions. So
thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Zangiabati. 63 Fleming Crescent. 63 Fleming Crescent is a proposal for a rear addition. It's a proposed exterior expansion into an existing integrated garage with a single parking spot to be relocated from the garage to the exterior driveway parking. And in this application, there is a transportation report, but there are no objections. There are no other reports on file. However, I do see that we have an agent, Jeffrey Moot, on the call. Jeffrey Moot, are you there?
Jeffrey Moot,
Right.
Principal Moot Architect.
All right, thank you so much for that. I do see that there are a couple of speakers. Now, I've noted that one of these speakers has already spoken to 19 Parkhurst Boulevard. That is a Charlotte Spelt and a Sean Harris who are, they're not on the call. Okay, so they're not on the call. I'll remove that. And I do see a Chad and a Michelle Iwata. They're not on the call either. Okay, so there's no one else on the call, and what I'll do is I'll ask members if you require a presentation on this application. Member Manning requires.
Sorry, I just have a question. You said that there was a transportation report, but I'm not seeing it in my package. Was it sent separately?
Let's take a look here just to make sure I'm looking at the right document.
Page 563.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's there. Thank you.
All right. I'll give Member Manning a moment to review that while we ask of the other members if there is any other questions that you may have, or do you require a presentation further to this? Okay, so no presentation required. Mr. Moot, is there anything that you'd like to share with the committee members before they take this into decision making?
Perhaps just very briefly, this is the existing condition, no changes to the exterior being proposed. Simply cutting into the interior portion of the existing garage and sort of giving it back to the interior space as a mudroom. So this is the existing condition, and the front driveway parking is the predominant condition in the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Any questions for Mr. Moot? If no questions, can I entertain a motion, please? Motion from Member Manning.
For you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application. It is an existing condition. There's no objections from transportation, and therefore I believe it is minor.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve from Member Manning. It's seconded by Member Attarodi. All those in favor? Mr. Moot, your application has been unanimously approved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, members, we're moving over to item number 16, which is 19 Teddington Park Avenue. This is a proposal for an interior alteration and rear addition to an existing 3-story building. Now, please note that there is a January 12th staff report that has some recommendations. And apart from that, there's no other concerns noted. I do note that we have the agent, Mr. Ali Shakiri. Mr. Shakiri, are you there?
Good morning, Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East.
Great, thank you. I see one other. Sorry about that.
I can't hear your voice, Madam Chair. Not sure if I'm muted or...
You're not, Ali, you're not muted. This Madam Chair needs a minute.
Thanks, Simon.
No problem.
Sorry about
Stay
that,
tuned.
Mr. Shakiri. I think you have that effect on me. I've been coughing quite a bit. Okay, so, all right, sorry about that. Catching my breath here, I just wanted to double check that Sarosh Hatami is the owner. They're the second person listed to speak here. Are they the area resident? They're not on the line. They're not the owner. Okay, so there is one other person to speak to this application. So, Mr. Shakiri, if you can provide us with a brief presentation of 5 minutes for this application.
Indeed, as you mentioned, this is just a minor alteration to an existing building. We're asking for the floor space index be increased from 0.35 to 0.53. The existing house, however, is nearly 0.5. So that's just a very, very, very minor addition and a very slight addition to the height. And I don't have any comment. All I can say is that the conditions of the planning is acceptable by us by any means. And I'd like to listen to the comments from anybody else that is registered here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Shakiri. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Shakiri before we move on to the area resident? No questions, so let's call upon Sarosh Hatami.
Madam Chair, I've just been advised that Sarosh does not wish to comment on the application.
Okay, all right, so there is no comment from the area resident. That being said, members, do you have any questions, any final questions of Mr. Shakiri? Then we'll move into committee for decision making. Can I get a motion, please? Motion from Member Bartolo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. I think this is a fairly straightforward addition application. I don't see any adverse impacts on the neighborhood, and I believe it meets the 4 tests. Therefore, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application, subject that the side exterior main wall be developed in accordance with the east and west side elevations attached to this report, and subject to any conditions in the urban forestry memo attached. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Bartolo, for a motion to approve this application with those conditions. Anyone to second that? Member Attarodi seconds this. All those in favor? Mr. Shakir, your application has been unanimously approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Item number 17, which is 106 Fairholme Avenue. This is an application to construct a 3-story detached dwelling. Members, please note that there are 14 variances on this application, and Transportation Services, while they have no objections to the application, they do have some conditions attached. Please note, members, there are 6 letters of support and also 3 letters of objection. There's no one else here to speak to this application, and we've got the agent, Sarah Ifra, on the line. Sarah Ifra, are you there?
Hi, yep.
If you could state your name and address for our records.
Yep, Sarah Ifra. It's 75 Dufflaw Road, Toronto, Ontario, M6A 2W4.
Members, do you require a presentation for this application? Yes. Please, Ms. Ifra, if we can have a presentation, that would be appreciated.
Sure.
Thank you.
If you could pull up the photograph sent, it's January 18th, 2023 from the materials. I just want to start there, and then I'm going to ask you to go to supporting materials of January 4th. No. Okay, this is the second portion I'm going to ask you to pull up, but if you could go to the latest photograph that I sent.
So staff are currently trying to pull up the file.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to share with you that for 106, sorry, wrong one. No, it's the wrong one. Sorry, I apologize.
No problem.
Keep scrolling down. I'm not sure. You have them different on the site than I'm seeing here, so just keep scrolling down and we'll get to it. Keep going, keep going. Those are all the letters of support. Okay, keep going.
Maybe,
Those are
Ms.
the
Ifra,
objections.
if while they're going through that, you could possibly begin your presentation.
I would love to, but I really do need the photographs, and then I'll need them to go back to that. But in any case, the photograph is of a single house. Oh, this is very frustrating. Of a single house that has the almost identical variances. It's none of these. Please, oh my God. No, you've got to keep scrolling down, I'm sure, to the end. Just go right to the end.
Well,
Let's see if the
just
picture
to let
comes
you
in.
know, we've received all of the photographs and have had this
Yes, I know.
beforehand. So we're well aware of the application.
Okay, so in any case, the photograph is of a house that's a 3-story dwelling with almost identical variances that is now almost complete. And when you look at it from the outside, it looks like a 2-story dwelling. So that was really for impact. Now, if we can go to the supporting material of January 4th, which was some of the drawings that I had there. I think the main thing I would like to address is really the coverage, because I think that would be, yes, this is the presentation materials of that time. Okay, so the coverage itself has quite a large number. If you just look at the number, it's 47.4%. If you look at in the presentation material, which you did get before, there are other houses that I've done on the block at 2230, which is the photo that I was hoping that you would see, 50 and 52. Now, those all have coverages of 43.07, 44.74, 43.67, and 42.77. This one is higher by 5.5 square meters. So I did want to put forward that the impact of the difference in this coverage is actually not that much. It's because of the size of the lot that the percentage sounds large, but the meters are actually small. The other portion to the coverage and its impact is our side yard setbacks are actually 4.5 feet on either side instead of a 4 and 4 or a 4 and 5. So even the air, let's call it, around the house, is greater than some of the other ones that may have slightly lower coverage. So that's kind of the first thing. In terms of the 3 stories, again, contained within the roof. If you could scroll down a little bit, we can kind of look at the this was the photo, by the way. This is a 3-story house similar to the one that we're presenting, also on the same block that was just built recently. So from the outside, it looks like a 2-story house. So yes, scroll down a little bit here to the drawing portion of it. So yeah, keep going. So I've addressed the coverage, and I can cover that in any questions later. The other thing I would like to address is the height of the house. Under the new bylaw, we've got a 0.28 meter extra there. Now the 9.88 meters is what's actually visible. That extra little bit is really just slope to drain. So from the street, it doesn't look like it's over 10 meters. And then in terms of the length, yes, perfect. We can stop here. In terms of the length, you can see all the way there on the left-hand side, it says 20.29. So that's kind of the overall length from the front of the house all the way to the bump outs at the back. The 2-story portion of this house, if you look a little towards the right, I'm almost out of time, I see, is only 17 meters. So when we look at the overall length, we're referring to the pieces that are bumping out, not the huge box of 20.29 meters. I will leave it to questions because in terms of what we have on file here, I know we do have 2 letters of objection, which I can speak to if you'd like me to. We do have letters of support. Staff had no comments at all on the property. It is similar to other ones that I've done on the street as well. I did include a number of homes that I have done and I have designed and I have taken through committee of adjustment. So they're not just stats from anywhere that do, I really believe, represent the change in this neighborhood, including things like 3 stories coverage and things like that. So I'll leave it at that and I'll leave it to questions in the interest of time. I know you haven't stopped me, which is very nice. Thank you. But I see my time is up.
Okay, thank you for being aware of that. I gave you a little extra time because of, trying to find the picture of the home earlier. I just wanted to also ask if maybe you could take this time to address, seeing that we have no other speakers. There were 2 letters of objection. I realize you have some more that are overwhelmingly supportive of the application, but we've got one from Nancy Tran as well as Angela Cervidio, who had specific concerns, that if maybe you can address those with the committee so they have a more fulsome appreciation of the application. Thank you.
Yeah, so I did also include with the file, again, because I was away, I really wanted to be sure all my ducks were in a row. Nancy is actually our immediate neighbor at 108. I guess she must be away because we did try to get in touch with her. Number 113 is quite a bit down the road, and I think she's just kind of supportive of Nancy's objections. But Nancy's objections really have a lot to do more with the safety of her home. So I did make some comments. Now, for example, the safety of a neighbor's property and or drainage and things like that, we have to ensure that fire is contained on our lot, drainage is contained on our lot, snow is contained on our lot. So first of all, being a 3-story dwelling with a height variance that is requested is actually not any different than a 2-story house and the effects of snow and things like that. In terms of the fire hazard and the side yard setback, our side yard setback is 4.5 feet. Hers is 3 feet. Again, you can't use a neighbor's side yard setback to get to the gas or consider that in escape routes and things like that. Although still through the building permit process, there are requirements for glazing and protection of unprotected openings that we do need to meet. So these are not actual variances, but they are actually code issues that do get taken care of in permit. And 100% we do that. The other thing that she's worried about is the structural hazard. Now, I have not had a home since probably 2008 that has not required shoring when we have a side yard setback anywhere between 4 feet and 6 feet. So the requirement of the shoring, like a big, large building, is really to protect the foundations of the neighbors and things like that. So what we are required to do, again, is do a number of studies, get consultants, pay for that shoring, and then go back and double check when we're done with construction that nothing has been damaged. So again, it's a requirement of the building permit process that we definitely will take care of. So in terms of her concerns, I 100% hear them. I really did want to, I sent her an email. I wanted to get in touch and reassure her that none of the things that we will do on this property with regard to the variances or the house in general will have any effect on her regarding fire, safety, or structural stability. All of that is dealt with through the permit process. And again, like I've said, I've done a number of these on this street, on this specific type of lot, meaning 50 by 103. And I have had no issues with neighbors' homes, safety, fire, or structurally.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I'll turn over to committee members to see if there's any questions that they have lingering. There being none, let's take this matter into committee. Members, can I have a motion, please? Do take your time. I do know that these things require contemplation, so whenever anyone's ready, feel free. And just to remind committee members that this construction has the 14 variances, transportation has no objections, just a couple of conditions. There has been 6 letters of support, and the 2 letters of opposition has been addressed by the applicant or the agent here today. Okay, motion from Member Kidd.
I feel that the proposal meets the 4 tests for minor variance. I'm going to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to transportation services conditions as set out in their report dated January the 12th.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Kidd. Motion from Member Kidd to approve this application and make it subject to the Transport Services report of January 12th. Can I get someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Bartolo. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Dissenting is Member Atterodi and Member Manning, and I will motion to approve or accept Member Kidd's motion. And so, Ms. Ifran, your application has been approved with those conditions. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item number 18, which is number 67 Birkshenshaw Crescent. Members, this is a proposal to increase the existing driveway width. There is a transportation report on here. There's no objections. However, they do have some specific conditions. And that being said, we've got the agent is Mr. Glenn Rubinoff. Mr. Rubinoff, are you there?
18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, I note that there is no one else here to speak to this application, and so I'll turn it over to committee members if they feel they require a presentation on this application. There being none, Mr. Rubinoff, is there anything that you would like to share with committee members before they take this matter into decision-making?
Nothing particular, just that transportation reviewed this and was okay with it. The concern is just the standard, the pole, that we be a meter away from the pole. I believe we are, but we'll just have to provide the dimension to them for permit purpose.
Oh, okay, and so you're okay with those conditions then?
Yep.
All right, thank you. So members, any questions of Mr. Rubinoff? We've got Ms. Manning. Go ahead. She's wishing to make a motion, I presume. So if that is the case, please proceed.
Through you, Madam Chair, motion to approve this application subject to the conditions of the transportation report.
Okay, motion from Member Manning to approve this application subject to transport conditions. We've got Member Attarodi, who is seconding that motion. All those in favor? And Mr. Rubinoff, your application has been unanimously approved with those conditions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Members, we're moving on to item number 19, which is number 6, North Hills Terrace. This is a proposal to construct a new dwelling. Members, please note that there are 6 variances. There's also a staff report on file from January 12th with specific recommendations or conditions attached. And there is Forestry had a report on this requesting a deferral and some additional conditions if that's the case. Please note, members, there are 4 letters of support, but there are also 5 letters of objection. And we do have a couple of area residents wishing to speak to this application. So we've got the agent, Marin Zabzumi. Mr. Zabzuni, are you there?
Committee members, this is Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway.
Thank you. Mr. Zabzuni, if you can proceed with a presentation, that would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. So this is for a proposed dwelling at 6 North Hill Terrace, and I believe it's only 4 variances that we're requesting, not 6, so we'll go over those. And the other thing I'd like to state is the support letters, there's actually 10 letters of support that the homeowners have acquired. Some of the PDFs have them combined, so it's not just the PDF file, but the attachment within. Nevertheless, I'll start off with item number 1, the proposed rear deck setback. Essentially, the rear deck projects 3.66 meters from the main wall. The maximum projection as stated by the bylaw is 2.5 meters, and the proposed design was developed in collaboration with our client to achieve their specific exterior space requirements. So the rear deck is situated in the southeast corner of the lot and takes up less than half of the width from the proposed dwelling. It is also uncovered in order to reduce further impact. It is our opinion that this variance is minor in nature. And then item number 2, the proposed maximum height of exterior main walls facing a side lot line is 8.5 meters, whereas the permitted height is 7.5 meters. This variance is common in the Don Valley East neighborhood as seen in 110 Plateau Crescent at 8.41 meters approved. We have worked also with city planning to review and update and coordinate this application. So there is a staff report that they are aware of these variances. So again, it is in our opinion that this variance is also minor in nature and in keeping with the neighborhood's form. In regards to item number 3, maximum lot coverage. So the proposed maximum lot coverage is 30.53%, where the maximum allowed is 25%. The proposed coverage is inclusive of the lower floor living area and single car garage. The proposed variance is consistent with approvals in the neighborhood, including 80 North Hills Terrace at 35.91% approved and 26 North Hills Terrace at 30.35%. We have provided supporting material and evidence for these variances, just as comparables. So it is in keeping with similar approvals in the neighborhood and consisting with existing and evolving built form. And lastly, item number 4, maximum building height. I want to emphasize that we do comply with a new bylaw in terms of overall building height. This is just on the old bylaw where the proposed maximum building height is 9.58 meters, where the maximum is 8.8 meters in former North York zoning bylaw. So the proposal developed to fit the surrounding neighborhood built form. The proposal is consistent with other approvals, such as 11 North Hills Terrace, approved at 9.92 meters, and 26 North Hills Terrace, approved at 9.16 meters. Again, we believe this is also minor in nature, and it's these 4 variances that we're requesting. We worked with planning. We received 10 letters of support from the neighborhoods, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Zabzuni before we move on to the other area residents? Okay, no questions noted, so let's move on, and I'll ask for staff's help to understand. I do believe that there is a Hugo Gin, and that is the owner, so we will likely move on to the next area resident.
Madam Chair, Hugo Jin is on the call, and I believe he has a different address. It's 8 North Hill Terrace.
Okay, so Mr. Hugo Jin, are you there?
I am.
Yes.
Hugo Jin, 8 North Hills Terrace.
Okay, and you're not the owner?
I am the owner of next door, 8 North Hills Terrace.
Okay, so, all right, not a problem. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay, so my wife and I have concerns with the rebuild. The first variance for the back deck extending, no one's mentioned about the tree. So in order to extend it to the 3.66, he intends to cut down a Norway maple in the back. And if you read the urban forestry report, I think they actually deny, and that's what you're referring to, the deferral. They're denying the removal of this healthy and maintainable tree to fit this deck in. As well, the exterior wall, he's proposing to move the east wall closer to my property line, up to 4 feet 11 inches. And it's, you know, it's too close to my property, I feel. And the height going higher, like Don Mills was an originally pre-planned community with bungalows on a tree-lined street, and putting up these new rebuilds just takes away the integrity and history of Don Mills.
Okay, anything else that you'd like to add?
No.
All right, members, do you have any questions of this area resident before we move on to the next? Okay, there being none, let's move on to a Helen Crippen. Ms. Helen Crippen, are you there?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I've contacted Helen and Carolyn, and they are not on the call.
They're not on the call. Okay, not a problem. I do note that with the concerns on urban forestry, that the application will likely be subject to urban forestry, so they will have to meet the requirements of forestry regardless. But your other comments, let's hear what Mr. Zabzuni has to say about it. Mr. Zabzuni, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, and if you can
absolutely.
please
So
respond.
I'd like to.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'd like to make a correction. I believe the neighbor believes we are proposing a side yard setback of 4'11", but it's not correct. We're actually proposing a side yard setback of 5'11", aka 1.8 meters. We comply with the side yard setback. We're not asking for a variance there. So I think that's important to note. And also, I'm not sure what the major concern of the neighbor is, but there's also, if you look at the site plan, they have existing shed built right against the property line on the same side yard. I'm not sure if they need more space to use that, which would mean that they would want to use part of the private resident owner's space, which is not allowed, of course. I don't know why they're concerned with this setback, considering we comply and it meets the bylaw. So I just wanted to emphasize that. In regards to forestry comments, so we actually submitted to urban forestry ahead of submitting to committee of adjustment in order to ensure there was ample time for them to review and provide correspondence. I suppose they've been very busy since these comments came in a bit late. And of course, with the holidays being around, maybe that's understandable. But I do want to emphasize that the proposed dwelling is within the as of right footprint overall in terms of building length, building width, and even overall building height towards the new bylaw at least. So we're happy to address forestry comments as we continue to deal with them during our normal procedures with them. And also on that side of the rear deck, the stairs, it's a wood deck too. It's not a concrete deck. And the stairs are also facing that side, which actually creates a bigger setback for the deck itself. And it is going to be on sonotubes, which reduces the impact. So we're working with our arborists. We'll address forestry conditions as usual. And happy to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Zabzuni? Okay. Member Kidd with a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And my main concern is with regard to the tree and the proposed deck having an adverse effect on that. So I'm going to put forward a motion to accept the application, but make it subject to forestry condition and also subject to the planning staff condition that the site exterior main walls be developed substantially in accordance with the side elevation drawings attached to the January 11th planning staff report.
Okay, thank you so much, Member Kidd. Can I have someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Bartolo. All those in favor? Okay, and opposed? Member Manning and Member Attarodi dissenting, and I will motion to approve that application. So I'm accepting Member Kidd's motion to approve the application, making it subject to the staff report of January 12th, as well as urban forestry. So, Mr. Zabzumi, your application has been approved with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members, moving along to item number 20, which is 127 Banff Road. Again, we have the agent online, that is Nafisa Zanjabadi. In fact, she'll be the agent for the next two applications, item number 20 and 21. But item number 20 is 127 Banff Road. This is a proposal to build a front and rear addition to the existing two-story family dwelling with some interior alterations. There's 7 variances noted, but there's no other staff reports noted on here. Ms. Zangiabadi, are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is Nafisa Zangiabadi, 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill.
All right, thank you. You're back again. There's quite a number of applications that you're looking after today. Members, I see that there's no one else to speak to this application, and I wondered if we require a presentation at this time. Member Attarodi requires a presentation, so Ms. Zangiabadi, if you're able to.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure.
I just need some explanation regarding variance number 4, 5, and 6.
Yes. So variance 4 and 5, it's due in part because we are going along the existing wall for the addition part. So that's why it creates those numbers for the variances. And variance number 6 for the side wall, which I believe the staff has tied the application to the side elevation, is because of the attic space we have, which due to headroom we had to increase the attic space a little bit. So it encroaches to the roof, and the side wall, it's calculated into the main wall height, whereas the entire eaves along the building is 7 meters. So I think that's why the staff requested the decision to be tied to the side elevation, and we are okay with that.
Member Attarodi, does that answer your questions? Do you have any further questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Members, do you have any other questions of Ms. Zangiabadi? Member Bartolo, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to confirm, these side yard setbacks are essentially an existing condition that you're maintaining throughout the renovation. Is that fair to say?
Yes, yes. For the addition on second floor, we're just building on top of the existing. And the main floor, we're going up along the existing, yes.
Right, okay, I understand.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions from the panel, can I get a motion, please? Please note that there are 7 variances noted and there is no other staff reports and no one to speak to this application. Member Bartolo with a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. In reviewing the drawings and getting the confirmation that these are largely existing conditions, I'm going to put forward a motion to accept this application, subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo attached.
Okay, motion from member, I just wanted to double check. There was urban forestry on this. I had not had a report on urban forestry. Maybe my files are not updated.
No urban forestry.
Okay, other members are saying that they did not see urban forestry, and so.
My mistake. Maybe I'm scrolled to the wrong page there. But,
that's happened to me many times.
Nonetheless, I will put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Okay, so motion from member Bartolo to approve this application as is. Do I have someone to second this motion? Motion seconded by member Manning. All those in favor? Ms. Zanjabadi, your item has been approved at 127 Banff Road with no conditions. And you are remaining on the line for item number 21, which is number 71 Abitibi Avenue. Let me repeat that, Abitibi Avenue. And this is to construct a new detached dwelling. Members, please note that there is 6 variances noted, and this one has forestry. That may be where the confusion lies. This one does have forestry as a condition, and there's no one else to speak to this application. Members, do you require a presentation on this application? No presentation required. We do have the same agent on the line. Ms. Zanjabadi, do you have anything you would like to share with the members before they go into decision making?
Yes, the staff asked us to make some modification to the variances. We are reducing variance number 1 from 32.9% to 32%.
Okay, so you are making revisions to the application, and you're saying you are going to be reducing variance number 1 to 32%.
Yes, and variance number 3 for the side yard setback to be removed.
Okay, so variance number 2 is removed. So you're making
No,
it
sorry,
even.
variance number, no, variance number 3 for the side yard setback.
Oh, variance number 3. So variance number 2 is reduced to 32% members, and variance number 3 is removed.
No, variance number 1 reduced to 32%. Variance number 3 removed.
Yeah, isn't that what I said? Or okay, maybe
I'm.
We've got it. Regardless, staff, have you received that? And members are aware. Okay, thank you so much. Members, do you have any questions of Ms. Zanjabadi? Do you require explanations of anything further? If not, this application has, 5 variances now, as variance number 3 is removed, and variance number 1 has been reduced to 32%. That is the proposed lot coverage. That's number 1. And this application has forestry. There's no one to speak to it. Please, can I have a motion? Motion from member Attarodi.
Through you, Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. number 1 is variance number 1. The lot coverage is now 32%. Variance number 3 eliminated. And also would like to add the city staff recommendation that the proposal be developed substantial accordance with the east and west side elevation drawings submitted to the committee, attachment number 1 and 2, and subjected to urban forestry map.
Thank you, Ms. Attarodi. I'm just double checking something because my files did not have a staff report. So I'm having staff check.
There's a late staff report, Madam Chair.
Okay. If you can pull that up on screen so just other members who did not get a chance to see it like I did, as they're able to. So members, you can see what the recommendations are, and you can see that that is exactly why the agent has addressed those concerns, and that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the east and west side elevation drawings, as was motioned by Member Attarodi. That being said, and we're all clear now, members, can I have someone to second Member Attarodi's motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Unanimously approved with those conditions. Ms. Zanjabadi, your application has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, if I can have you go back in your files to application, number 2. And this application is for number 141 Erskine Avenue. As you recall, we put this one to the end of the hearing. So this application, members, is a proposal to seek relief for floor space index, gross floor area, and landscaping requirements. No new structure proposed for this application. There are no staff reports or no letters of objection. There are 3 variances noted. And on the file, we've got the agent, hopefully they're there, that is Andrew Ferancic.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, it's Andrew Ferancic. I'm the principal of W&D. We're the agents relative to this matter, and thank you for agreeing to move it to the end of the agenda. Great assistance
If you
to
can,
me, thank you.
please provide us with your address for the record, please.
Certainly, it's 90 Eglinton Avenue East, Suite 970, M2N. I'm sorry, I'm giving you the wrong one. It's M4P2Y3.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to note, and I'll ask planning staff, I see that there is one person to speak to this by the name of Whit Kurowski.
Madam Chair, I've contacted Whit and he's not on the call.
Okay, so there's no one else to speak to this application. Perhaps if you could just give us a brief presentation on this application, I think the committee members may appreciate that. And then they will have some questions likely for you.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. And there was a package that we had circulated, an information package, which had a bunch of visuals. If we could put that up, it might help to explain what's being proposed. So this application pertains to basically a lot line adjustment between 133 and 141 Erskine Avenue, which is 2 properties in the Yonge and Eglinton neighborhood at the southeast corner of Redpath Avenue and Erskine Avenue. And the proposal is to essentially round out 133 Erskine, make it a little bit bigger by adding a piece of 141 onto it. And as a result of it, 3 variances are required, as well as 1 delegated severance. So if we could just flip through to the next slide. This is a visual depiction of the portion of the lands that is proposed to be taken from 141, which is the building on the left, and added to the lot area of 133, which is to the right. And currently, it is basically a patch of grass, flat patch of grass. And if we can go to the next slide, we can see that depicted even more. It's got dimensions of about 7.6 by 40.5 meters in depth, and an area of about 311.2 meters squared. And it does not have any underground garage associated with it. It's actually tucked in right in between the underground garage entrance for 141 and for 133 currently. Next. If we could flip right to the next page, which is the same thing but just annotated. And I think this best describes what's being proposed. So what's shown as part 2, the retained lands, is the 141 Erskine Avenue property, which currently contains a 13-story apartment building. It will remain in place, and the variances that you'll see in a moment are associated with it, intended to just reflect the reality of what's on the site in terms of landscaping and the GFA of that existing building. There's no change to the building proposed. And the area in orange that you see how it currently kind of jogs to the west. That's just a bit of an anomalous lot condition that exists. The site wasn't a perfect rectangle, and it's proposed that that strip of land be added on to 133 Erskine, which contains a 10-story apartment building. And there's also, as part of the agreement between the sale, an area of maintenance easement where part 3 is indicated, which would allow for any maintenance to be done from that piece of land. Next. And this just shows the profile of that easement land. Next. The site is within, deep within the apartment neighborhoods. It's within the secondary plan as well. Next. This is the zoning. It's an R zoning. Next. And then these last 3 slides were meant to illustrate and help to visualize what the variances are. And what we've tried to do is show the existing conditions on the site, the green being the existing open landscaping, and the gray being the paved areas and the building footprint. And we also showed a picture of where the existing pathways are. And so the proposal is to have a variance to reduce the amount of existing landscape space from 50% to 36%. And I'll say that this is still far in excess of the landscaped open space that one typically finds on development sites in Yonge and Eglinton in the area, even on existing sites. It's quite a large site, and so and there is no change being actually proposed in terms of buildings on the site. So that open space will be added on to 133. Next variance, next page. Variance number 2 and also number 3 really pertain to recognizing the existing GFA in 141 Erskine. And again, it will remain unchanged, and there's an existing zoning permission for 2 times the area of the lot, whereas 2.153 is proposed. And you'll note that this is different than the GFA in the next variance, which is really the same thing, but it's a consequence of a different way of calculating GFA under the current 569/2013 bylaw and an old 1960s site-specific provision that goes back 60 years on the site when this apartment was built. So there's some differences there. It took us some time to actually wrap our heads around it, resolve that with the zoning examiner, and come up with the right number. But again, very technical, and that just recognizes the existing building on the site. Members will know that this area of Yonge and Eglinton has buildings far in excess of 2 FSI, and many of them have FSIs exceeding the double digits. Next. And finally,
I'll ask you to summarize, please.
Certainly, and this is the last variance. It's the same as the last one. It's FSI of 2.5, again, very technical, and this is that 1960s zoning provision, which I spoke to. And the last slide is simply a summary of what I just said. In my opinion, it's very minor, meets the 4 tests, and is quite technical and meant to facilitate the lot line adjustment.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Members, can I ask if there's any questions that you have of the agent here today? There's no one else here to speak to this application? Yes, Member Kidd, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have to admit I'm not exactly clear on what's happening out there. If for the tenants who live in these buildings, can you tell me if there's any change to their the existing situation out there as far as they would notice?
No, there's going to be no change whatsoever for the tenants, no visual change to the site as part of this application, no.
Okay, just one other question. Usually on an application like this is a little bit complicated. That we kind of rely on the planning staff report to give us some kind of guidance. But given the fact that we don't have it, maybe can you just, I assume you've talked to planning staff about this. Can you just give us a brief rundown of those conversations?
Oh, certainly. So, I mean, in our view, this is a technical lot line adjustment to facilitate the development of 133 Erskine Avenue, and there's already an existing application that's on the public record. It's been there for over a year, and so that application actually pertains to both 133 and 141. So this is a technical application to recognize that lot line adjustment between these two properties in order to sort of facilitate that final purpose for the lot. No changes proposed to 141 Erskine Avenue.
And no concerns expressed by planning staff?
Not with this application, and we're working with them, I think, productively on the discussions around the development of 133.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with the questions or comments? Okay, that being said, let's take it into committee for decision making. Can I get a motion, please? Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Considering the presentation from the agent, I feel this is a minor variance and application, and I look forward to a motion to accept the application.
Motion from Member Kidd to approve this application and seconded by Member Attarodi. All those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved. Mr. Forensic, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, members, we do have one final application for the morning session. That is item number 3, which is 106 YORKMINSTER Road. This was an application, I recall that the agent was not there, Babak Gassemi, but they were requesting a withdrawal. And in fact, they had sent in an email on January 6th to Alex saying that there was a misunderstanding and that they had received the building permit for their revised rear patio and that they do not need to proceed.
Madam Chair, through you, I have spoken to the agent applicant, and he confirms what you just said. They wish to withdraw the applications. The correspondence is up on the monitor now. So we just need a motion to withdraw and close the file, please.
Thank you. So I'll give members a moment to just look at that communication, and I see Member Bartolo. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, through you, given the request from the applicant, I'll put forward a motion to withdraw and close this application.
Okay, Member Bartolo to motions to withdraw and close this application, seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? And that motion carries. So this application has been closed and withdrawn. Thank you so much. That takes us, it's 1 p.m. Members, we will commence sharply at 2 p.m. Today. Please enjoy your lunch. Thank you so much for your hard work.